Hey, good morning from, wait a minute, this is not my office. This is the Gilmer County Library. Good morning, I'm your host, and we're at the Gilmer County Library this morning. We're going to be here for 2 hours. We're going to take a complete tour of the Gilmer County Library. A lot of things going on here, very exciting. We will have Carla's Corner if you tune in the morning on Thursday morning. I gotta get this together for a minute. Josh is here. Okay, I gotta get my bearings straight. It is Thursday. We're at the Gilmer County Library. Okay. Carla will be here at 8:30. And then after Carla, we'll have Tax Tips with Beth Bennett. She will be here with us at the library. And then after that, do you know what a Firewise community is? Do you know what that? And also, do you know, I grew up with this guy, I think you did too. Do you know Smokey the Bear is 75 years old? Also, we're at the Gilmer County Library, and it is National Library Week, or month, maybe month. I hope I got that right. Is it week? I don't know. I have to get my bearings straight of where I'm at, because usually the only road show I do is Circuit World in Blue Ridge. So Josh, show them. We're going to get into the hearings yesterday, but I want Josh to show you just a couple pictures, just 2 or 3 pictures of the library here, and we're going to take that tour. So right after our Firewise segment and talking about Smokey the Bear's 75th birthday, we're going to then run a clip of we're going to take a tour of the entire library and the new basement. If you did not realize, the basement is finished and completed at the library. We're going to show you that today. Now, yesterday, I'm trying to not, Josh, trying to keep the volume down a little. This is a meeting room. This is a big meeting room up here at the library that you can use at any time. All you have to do is go to the front counter and reserve the meeting room here. Wi-Fi, everything going on. But give me number one quickly there, Josh. Give me number one. And number one, Julian Assange arrested in London. Okay, so we all know, I think it's been since 2012, he has been held up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. They ended his asylum there in the embassy, I think last week or whatever, whenever they did that, and they turned him over to the police in London. This is going to be a big deal because the deep state media has Julian Assange, let's go to number 2 there, has Julian Assange as the DNC, the one that leaked the DNC emails that were hacked. This is all allegedly, okay, was hacked by the Russians. So you remember the DNC server that supposedly has been hacked by the Russians, that he is working, according to the deep state media, the MSNBC and the CNN and the CBS, ABC, that Assange has been working with the Russian government, and he is the one that dumped the emails, Hillary's emails and John Podesta's. You need to watch this play out. This is going to be very interesting. Now, let me say this, okay? We're all hearing this morning about Bob Barr. All right, Bob Barr, and let me show you just quickly here. They are going nuts over Bob Barr. Yesterday, the Attorney General saying that the spying, okay. Number 4, this is Warner from Virginia. Top Democrats voice frustration over Barr's claim of spying on the Trump campaign. Okay, number 5, this is Adam Schiffless. Top Democrats voice frustration over Barr's claim of spying on the Trump campaign. And Chuck Schumer, number 6. Okay, AG Barr admitted he had no evidence. Now, there's a couple things. You know how I am when it comes to the deep state media, is I like to look at certain words, okay? If you're out there this morning and you think, okay, great, Attorney General Bob Barr brought up spying, the Fourth Amendment, okay, is very, the Constitution, all right? The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution. So a lot of conservatives, most, are excited that he brought that up yesterday, okay? And it's spinning the Democrats' head off. And you and I know that William Barr, the Attorney General, cannot, just leave Schumer's tweet up there for a minute, he cannot discuss in front of that panel the evidence he has. So let me just say this to you. Attorney General Bob Barr did not bring this up yesterday without knowing what he's talking about. Now, you remember when Donald Trump said he was tapped, that Trump Tower was tapped and spied on? We know, you and I know, that they spied on the Trump campaign. We know they created a hoax, investigated the campaign, investigated the President of the United States with zero to go on. Bob Barr knows that also. Always remember, a good attorney, which this is what he is the top cop in the United States. He is an attorney. He has been Attorney General before. He understands where he's at. This is not the first time he has ever give any testimony to the Senate. This is not the first time. Right? So when he says things, he knows what he's doing, and there's an old rule that an attorney never, you're not going to answer something, you know, when you get a question, you're not going to answer it not knowing you have the evidence. Bob Barr knows what he has, okay? And he was not going to share the evidence yesterday. But the deep state media is running cover, and we're going to show you in a minute a couple of this. Attorney General Barr admitted, this is Chuck Schumer, Attorney General Barr admitted he had no evidence to support his claim that spying on the Trump campaign did occur. Attorney General Barr must retract his statement immediately or produce specific evidence to back it up. We'll get the evidence to back it up. These people know they just have to come out and spout these things out to try to change the talking points. The defense team, remember, the deep state's defense team is the media. And if you're excited this morning, because I watched CNN at 4 a.m., okay? I watched MSNBC at 5 a.m., I watched Fox at 4 a.m. this morning. If you're excited this morning that all the networks are talking about Bob Barr and spying on the Trump campaign, don't go too fast. The only reason they're talking about it is they're running cover. They're talking about now that Barr's corrupt. They're saying that Barr has bought into our conspiracy theory. He is running with Trump's talking points. Do you think this man, William Barr, look at his career, went in there to the Senate with Trump's talking points? I don't think so. But they're running cover. They keep saying no evidence, and I'll show you, okay? Perpetuating conspiracy theories is beneath the office of Attorney General. This is not a conspiracy theory, okay? Let's go to number 7. Attorney General Barr accuses U.S. of spying on 2016 Trump campaign despite no evidence. See what I'm saying? We know there's evidence. You and I know it. But watch what they're running with, okay? Number 8, Attorney General Barr seems to embrace Republican talking points on Mueller Russian probe. See, you and I know they're not talking points. You and I know what Barr did yesterday. You and I are aware of it. See, this seems to be something new on CNN and MSNBC. They all knew there was a day they were going to have to deal with this. They've talked in newsrooms, ABC, George Stephanopoulos, all of them have talked in newsrooms, what are we going to do when we actually have to deal with this? Now, they want the Mueller report unredacted. I don't think so, because one of the senators that questioned Barr yesterday said, and I watched all 3 hours. I watched the entire 3 hours yesterday afternoon on YouTube. And one of the senators questioned Barr and said, okay, when you make these redactions, All right? And are we going to see page 1 and we're going to see a paragraph and then we're going to see 14 pages of redactions? And he said, no, you're not going to see that. He said, are we going to see 14 pages of redactions and we're going to read it and we're not going to be able to? This is what one senator asked the Attorney General. We're not going to be able to kindly figure out what did happen. Barr looked at him and said, oh no, you will see clearly what happened. Now that's not a quote, but you go watch it. Oh no, when you read the report with the redactions, you will see clearly. Okay, so there is the Russian probe, number 8. Let me give you number 9. Trump sounds off on a legal investigation. The President of the United States has used treason twice. Yesterday he used treason, okay, the word treason, and I do agree with him. And he used it in a tweet this morning that he put out. And let me see if I have one more. I want to, number 15, all right? Number 15, CNN, this was an attempted coup, and it was an attempted coup. You and I know that. CNN, President blasts Mueller investigation as illegal and crooked. And number 17, Nancy Pelosi investigation. The Pelosi, number 17, Pelosi said yesterday as she was shaking. Did you watch Pelosi yesterday? I mean, she was literally shaking. Pelosi slammed investigation as off the rails. That Bob Barr went off the rails. What Nancy Pelosi is really saying, the Speaker of the House, is Bob Barr is not playing by the deep state rules. He went off the rails. So what did I tell you yesterday morning? Here's where I want to go now. If you remember yesterday morning, I said when Barr, I'm getting ready to play a video. And when Barr, when Bob Barr yesterday, the Attorney General, when he, I'm sorry, this thing is buzzing here. When Bob Barr, the Attorney General, there, sorry about that. I should have put it on silent. I have it on vibrate. I apologize. I know people can contact me during the show, but when Bob Barr, the Attorney General, testified before the Appropriations Committee, remember this is about money, his budget, the House Appropriations Committee, I knew that day there would be no news break there, okay? That is run by the Democrats. They're in the majority, and I knew 2 days ago there would be no news really come out of the House testimony with Barr. But what did I tell you yesterday morning? Do you remember very clearly? I said I was excited. Now, who was not there yesterday? Marco Rubio. But I told you I was excited yesterday. I remember why. I said especially Lindsey Graham, right? And Kennedy from Louisiana. And I was interested to see what Joe Manchin said. And there was some good discussion concerning the Affordable Care Act. But I was not able to, let me see, I think, let me see something here really quick, Josh, but yesterday, Senator Lindsey Graham, all right? Now, all you're hearing about this morning is Bob Barr in the comment on spying. That's it. I watched CNN. That's the lead. I watched MSNBC, Morning Joe and Minka. They are talking about the spying, okay? That's what they're talking about. Lindsey Graham asked Attorney General Barr some questions. Now, in this video, I want you to look at Dianne Feinstein. She is the ranking member of this committee, or the Judicial Committee. Because what's going to happen here, and this is, let me set this up. The House Judicial Committee, all right, the ranking member is Congressman Doug Collins. And Doug Collins is running point for the Republicans. Congressman Collins is running point for the Republicans and getting all kinds of information out there, all right? But he's not the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. That's Jerry Nadler. The ranking member of the House the Senate Judiciary Committee is Lindsey Graham. All right. And we are all wondering, what will Lindsey do? Will he take this on? Okay. Will we get another special counsel? So on the Senate side, we're relying on Senator Lindsey Graham. And on the Senate side, in the Judiciary Committee, the ranking Democrat in minority is Dianne Feinstein. Listen to this clip. This, to me, is as big, okay, as big as the spying comments yesterday. And look at Dianne Feinstein's face. Go ahead and play the clip.
Okay, as to what you're going to do on May the 1st, we'll save that mostly for May 1st. But I am intrigued by the idea of this working group or some group looking at the other side of the ledger. Do you agree with me that every American should be concerned as to whether or not a warrant was obtained against an American citizen with unverified information?
Absolutely. I think, you know, the Fourth Amendment is one of our most cherished civil liberties.
So you think that's an appropriate thing to look at, and you will look at it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you share my concern that if you're going to open up a counterintelligence investigation against a presidential candidate, that you have to have a very good reason?
Yes, absolutely.
And a counterintelligence investigation is designed to protect the target of foreign influence. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It's not a prosecutorial function, is it?
No, unless espionage or some violation of espionage laws develops.
So would it be odd that the candidate was never really briefed by the Department of Justice that your campaign may be targeted by a foreign entity?
That is one of the questions I have. I feel normally the campaign would have been advised of this.
Okay. And can you think of a good reason right now why they wouldn't have been?
I'm interested in getting that answer. They had two former U.S. attorneys, in Chris Christie and Rudy Giuliani, involved in the campaign, and I don't understand why the campaign was not advised.
Apparently, when Senator Feinstein had a person on her staff that was supposedly connected to the Chinese government, she was briefed. Is that the normal way you do things with a counterintelligence investigation?
I think...
Well, she was briefed about a staff member that they thought might be connected to the Chinese government, and she took action and fired the guy. Is that sort of what you're supposed to be doing?
That's what I would, if I were Attorney General and that situation came up, I would say, yes, brief the target of the foreign espionage activity.
Okay. So you're pledging to this committee, and I guess to the country as a whole, is to find out what happened with the warrant application, find out about the counterintelligence investigation, to make sure that the law was followed, and if there was any abuse of the law, to report to the Congress and the public. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. I just, you know, want to satisfy myself that there were no abuse of law enforcement or intelligence powers.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that. When it comes to Mr. Mueller, are you talking to him about the 6E material?
I haven't personally talked to him about the 6E, but his people are working on the 6E material.
So there's a collaboration between your people and Mueller people about what to take out and what to leave in on the grand jury side?
Yes, as it was described to me, people are sitting at the same table.
Right. When it comes to ongoing criminal investigations, you're making sure that prosecutors, they have a say about what's released because it may jeopardize their cases?
That's right, the people involved in those cases.
And when it comes to classified information, you're talking to the intelligence community to make sure they're okay?
Okay, we're back, folks, and as you were watching on that video, and I tell you, yesterday I watched all 2.5 hours yesterday afternoon. It's our Attorney General of the United States of America. It's a big subject. I mean, you, the taxpayers, spent $25 million to create a report to see if there was a foreign influence and if there was a collusion between a presidential campaign. Now let's leave President Donald Trump out of it just for a second. We're looking at, did we have a foreign influence? Did we have espionage? What did we have in a presidential campaign? Was that possible? So we spent $25 million to look at that, and we're waiting to see a report. So yesterday, what did South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, which, let me remind you, is the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, okay? And what did he ask? He asked the Attorney General of the United States of America, was it not customary, common to brief a campaign if there was a possibility of counterintelligence that was trying to infiltrate their campaign? The Attorney General said, yes, it's right there in the video. And also, Senator Graham looked over, and that's why I said I wanted you to get a good look at Senator Dianne Feinstein's face, because she is the ranking member on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and she knows what's coming up. Senator Feinstein had a Chinese employee, okay, that was foreign espionage within her ranks. Okay, you can look that up. You can Google it on the internet. It's a very well-known story. And I'm not going to say she knew it and let it go. I'm not going to say she did that. But as a senator, she had had foreign espionage within her office. And when the FBI found out, and they investigated, they went to the senator and briefed her and said, hey, you have someone within your office that's involved in espionage, okay? That's what Lindsey Graham was trying to create is, hey, you know what? Why did they not go to the Trump campaign, all right, our FBI? And the Attorney General said, I'm going to look into that. I have to, because let me say this, there's a couple takeaways, and I like to break down sentences, all right? And you know that if you watch the show very often. The Attorney General said, you know what? The campaign had 2 former U.S. district attorneys. Now keep that in mind. When the Donald Trump campaign was going on, there was 2 former U.S. district attorneys in that campaign, one being Chris Christie. Before he was governor of New Jersey, he was a U.S. district attorney in the state, okay? Second, Rudy Giuliani. Before he became mayor in New York City, Rudy Giuliani was a former U.S. attorney, which was famous for bringing down some, we'll call it the mob figures, okay, in New York City. Before he was mayor, he was a U.S. attorney. So what the Attorney General, William Barr, is saying here is we are not for sure why, with 2 former U.S. district attorneys, they did not go over and brief then candidate Trump and the campaign and say, hey, look, there's counterintelligence trying to infiltrate your campaign. They're supposed to do that. They are supposed to do this. As soon as there's foreign influence in your campaign. They're supposed to do that. Our FBI is supposed to go and say, hey, and any of our NSA, national security, any of our intelligence agencies, let's put it out there, any of our intelligence agencies, as soon as they know there's foreign influence, as soon as they know there's counterintelligence, as soon as they know there's foreign espionage, they are supposed to go brief the individual. They did not. And that's what Senator Lindsey Graham asked. And you heard the Attorney General say he was going to look into that. Also, the FISA warrant. Don't forget the FISA warrant. So the Attorney General yesterday, as I always say, spun their heads off. They're all running around. And come on in, Carla. We know we're going to be here in just a minute. So come on in. We've got Carla's Corner coming up, but it spun their heads off yesterday. Let me say one more thing before we close. I enjoy these little things. I know you know that, but number 13, I think, let's see, number 13, you have your Treasury Secretary. Now, the Treasury Secretary of the United States is Steve Mnuchin, and what some may not know, that the IRS falls under the Department of Treasury in the United States, which they have asked. This is the Ways and Means. The House Ways and Means Committee has sent a letter and asked for 6 years of the president's tax returns to the IRS, which it's Steve Mnuchin's decision on whether to release that. Now, we can't get into a lot of details because we got a lot of other things going on this morning we're getting ready to go into, but he has made a decision. The legal implications, here's the statement he made this morning. The legal implications of this request could affect protections of all Americans against politically motivated disclosures. I go to the next one, number 14, of personal tax information, regardless of which party is in power. So, looks like they're going to go to court to see the tax returns. It looks like the Mueller report next week may be very interesting, and we are going to hear a lot more on Attorney General's Bob Barr's comments on spying on the President of the United States. Wow, folks, we got a lot to unpack. Now, I'm going to go to break, and when I get back this Thursday morning here, we do things a little different. As I told you, it is National Library Week here, and we're at the Gilmer County Library, and it's great to be up here at the Gilmer County Library. We have, show a couple pictures there, Josh, of the library, if you can, over my shoulder. We're going to, Carla's Corner is right after these messages. We're going to have Carla's Corner, and then after Carla's Corner, we're going to have Tax Tips with Beth Bennett, and then we are going to have, do you realize, do you know what a Firewise community is? We have a Firewise community. We're going to have a segment on that, and today, don't miss it. We're going to show you the basement. The basement is finished. It has been a shell here at the Gilmer County Library for several years, and it is finished. It's a great facility downstairs here, but we're going to show you an entire tour, take an entire tour of the Gilmer County Library, and I even get involved in a little bit of the kids' story time in our segment. So, Josh, take us to break, and when we come back, it's time for Carla's Corner.